Peggy 16.
In 2063, Zephram Cochrane broke the light speed barrier, ushering in a new era of human history. It was an era of exploration, an era of conflict, but ultimately, an era of hope. As we celebrate over 250 years of the United Federation of Planets, the Athan Prime Fleet Museum is proud to welcome 4 new starships to our Birth of the Federation exhibition. These 22nd century starships conquered the frontier, defended Earth, and established a new interstellar nation. They are the Vulcan Surak class science destroyer, the human NP class escort, the Andorian Kumari-Class Battlecruiser, and the human NV class Multimission cruiser. Join us as we examine the legacy of each of these incredible machines and the part they played in the earliest days of Federation history. By 2151, both the Romulans and Vulcans were interstellar nations with powerful fleets and murky agendas. At the height of its power, the Vulcan High Command operated dozens of starships across several sectors. These ships were capable, long-range vessels with fast engines, unmatched sensors, and powerful weapons. In 2151, the Surrok-class science destroyer was the preeminent example of a Vulcan ship of the line. 24 of these ships were in service by the time Enterprise NX-01 took flight, and as the Vulcan High Command became more and more concerned with interstellar politics, most Surroks were recalled from independent research cruises to instead perform surveillance and intelligence missions. A few Surrok-class ships were assigned to Sol and the surrounding sectors. They carefully tracked humanity's technological and societal progress. They also built covert installations to observe both the Andorians and the Tellarites. Formidable and versatile, Surrok-class starships could adjust their power systems to improve their weapons output or increase their sensor capabilities. They were the ideal platform for intelligence gathering. Records released by the Vulcans after the dissolution of their high command revealed the extent of the surveillance executed by Surrok-class ships. This revelation caused some outrage, as the Vulcans generally chose not to intervene when they witnessed Earth vessels under attack from pirates or otherwise in distress. When it came to the security of its freighters and colonies, Earth was on its own.
Well, there are eras of history where things seem static. We used wind power to travel the seas for 1,000 years. But then oil and fission each created their own revolutions, all within a century. Another century past that, we have yet another set of rapid revolutions, fusion, subspace, and then antimatter and dilithium. One breakthrough leads to another and another and another. Enabled by these advances and our insatiable curiosity, by the 22nd century, humanity was finally ready to go interstellar.
The people of Earth knew that the future of humanity lay in the stars. Despite early setbacks like the Terra Nova mission, an entire generation of humans, nicknamed boomers, were plowing the space lanes in low-warp freighters around Sol. But where there was commerce, inevitably, there was also piracy. After repeated attacks on human shipping by opportunistic pirates and with minimal assistance from Vulcan High Command, the United Earth government had to act. On October 17, 2123, the UE General Assembly passed the Ganges Resolution. This legislation funded the construction of 6 starships utilizing hulls from mothballed cargo ferries. These new ships would be designated NP-Class escorts. The first NP-Class starship, SS Ganges, launched with Warp 2.2 as its top cruising speed. Slow as that was, it was still fast enough to escort the lumbering ECS freighters making the Risa-Rigel Earth Triangle run. 6 NP-Class starships were launched between 2125 and 2129. As Sol's orbital infrastructure matured, starship production accelerated. By the launch of NX-01 Enterprise in 2151, there were 19 NP-Class escorts in service.
Now, by all metrics, the MP couldn't compete with anything that the Vulcans had. In some ways, they were the perfect metaphor for Earth itself. Battered and primitive, but also resolute and versatile.
Despite their shortcomings, the NP-Class escorts fulfilled their mission. Piracy against ECS ships declined drastically after the Ganges and sister ship Mekong both successfully repelled Nausicaan raiders on the RRE line. Thanks to the NP-Class starships and their interstellar deployments, Starfleet had a small but growing cadre of professional spacefarers. This budding group was the seed that eventually grew into a true interstellar officer corps, sprouting such legends as Bryce Shumar, Erica Hernandez, and of course, Jonathan Archer. The Andorians were an unlikely ally for a united Earth. Long-standing rivals of the Vulcans, they had a reputation for suspicion and aggression. It was thanks to a mutual respect between Jonathan Archer and Thylek Shran that Earth and Andor found common cause. Archer and Shran laid the first bricks in the foundation of the idea that would become the United Federation of Planets.
Shran's reputation as a shrewd and aggressive warrior made him the manifestation of the Andorian martial ethos. As captain of the IGS Kumari, he commanded the pride of the Andorian Imperial Guard. The ship was named after the first ice cutter to circumnavigate Andoria, and the name had a long and celebrated legacy across Andoria's history.
The Kumari was the lead ship of its class and one of the most powerful warships in the sector. Over 300 meters long and bristling with phased particle cannons, the Kumaari-Class Battlecruiser was a culmination of centuries of Andorian military engineering and purpose-built to compete with advanced Vulcan ships like the Surrok and Dakir. Unlike those Vulcan ships, which tended to operate alone, Kumaari-Class ships flew in hunting packs. They used their speed to execute a powerful alpha strike, unleashing fire from pairs of ships simultaneously. Then they would blaze past the enemy before it had a chance to retaliate. This was an effective tactic, but such power came at a cost. Overcharged weapon and energy systems were brittle, and Kumaari-Class ships could not last long in a prolonged engagement. However, the most impressive exploits of the Kumaari-Class were a closely guarded secret for decades after the founding of the Federation. After the Romulans executed several devastating strikes against United Earth, it became clear that they were an existential threat to both Earth and its new partners in the recently formed Coalition of Planets. Officially, Andoria stayed neutral during the Romulan War, but Shran and a few of his colleagues were still determined to help. Through some adroit legal fictions, they quietly established the sale of 3 Kumaari-Class battlecruisers to United Earth. These ships became a squadron named the Stalking Makras. They would even be painted in Earth Starfleet livery, but operated by crews of Andorian volunteers led by Shran. The Stalking Makras performed several critical hit-and-run attacks on Romulan patrols between Earth and Romulus, opening the door for Earth's small fleet of Warp 5 ships to conduct decisive offensive operations crucial to the outcome of the war. But the strategic reach afforded by the NX-class ships would have been useless without logistical support from rear-echelon ships like the NV Multimission cruiser. As construction on its first Warp 5 ship began, Earth returned its gaze to the stars. Starfleet's deployment of the MP-class escorts had been a success, and the United Earth government authorized the construction of a new class ship. The development of these ships, to be designated NV-class multi-mission cruisers, would supplement the ambitious plans for a fleet of fast and capable NX-class Warp 5 exploration cruisers. The NV-class light cruiser was bigger and faster, with a larger crew complement than the NP-type escorts. The NV also carried twice as many shuttle pods and incorporated an experimental transporter for inorganic cargo. This extended capability was essential for building Earth's interstellar infrastructure quickly. By 2156, 7 NV-class cruisers were in service. 2 of them operated almost exclusively in and around the Sol system, while the other 4 were deployed on missions in neighboring sectors, helping establish new human colonies or executing goodwill missions with new allies like the Andorians and the Tellarites. But when the Romulans attacked Algernon, everything changed. Starfleet Command had to do something it had never done before: prosecute an interstellar war, all without the help of its coalition allies. NX-class ships were recalled from their long-range survey missions to regroup at Earth and stage a counter-offensive. NP-class escorts, many in the process of decommissioning, were hastily refitted and redeployed. For their part, the NV-class starships served as crucial defensive units for human assets, freeing up the larger and faster NX-class survey cruisers for strategic response and offensive operations.
NV-class starships, such as the NV-01 Intrepid, played a crucial role in supplying and defending Earth colonies. By maintaining Earth's logistical reach, the Intrepid and its sister ships gave Earth the strategic flexibility required to go on the offensive. Over the course of the war's 4 years, all of the Earth's small Starfleet vessels would see action. NV and NP ships all engaged Romulan birds of prey, to mixed results. But it was Starfleet's attack on Charon, led by Jonathan Archer and the Enterprise, that finally won the war.
The NX-01 Enterprise and her sister ships received the lion's share of credit for ending the Romulan War and establishing the environment in which the nascent United Federation of Planets could eventually flourish. But they did not operate in a vacuum. For every Warp 5 ship pushing the boundaries of known space, several NV and NP hulls supported essential trade and communication infrastructure. For the Andorians and Vulcans, their societies drastically shifted during the tumultuous 22nd century. Their starships were their nation's eyes and ears at the center of these events. Ships like the Surrok and Kumari were both instruments of power, but also instruments of change. All 4 of these ships, the Vulcan Surak-class science destroyer, the Starfleet MP-class escort, the Andorian Kumari-Class Battlecruiser, and the Starfleet NV-class multi-mission cruiser are the crucibles through which early common bonds of kinship were forged. On these ships, thousands of beings braved the unknown, faced impossible odds, and had the faith of the heart required to create a future for all of us to boldly reach any star we dared to wish on.